Hello, Simone. Thank you so much for joining me on this conversation of mindful leaders here at the Union of Film Professionals in Yerevan. So I usually, give a small brief introduction of the guest that I'm with. You don't need an introduction, but I do have to say a few things about you that is important for our audience. You have had such an incredible professional and personal journey as an actor, as a director, and as a playwright. You started off in Los Angeles in a small theater production company. And then soon after that, you were identified and recruited by Ariane Mnouchkine in Théâtre du Soleil. And after numerous years of being in Théâtre du Soleil, where you grew as a professional, you then took off on your own as an independent, spreading out your wings. And that's where I recall seeing you in Beast of the Moon, which is the story of immigrant refugees from the genocide. And there I recall as a student in France, watching you where you pierced my heart with so many emotions. So I'm very, very grateful for having given me that chance to witness your performance. But it doesn't stop there, obviously. You have been featured in more than 60 film features. People know you from Casino Royale of James Bond, but it doesn't stop there, obviously. You have Yes from Sally Potter, and the list goes on. And one thing about you that is so interesting is that you never shy away from playing Armenian roles. You never shy away from, accepting positions or roles that really feature the history and the cause of Armenians. Like I think about Aram, from Kechichian's movie. I think about Missak Manouchian from, Guediguian's Army of Crime. And of course, everybody knows Ararat from Egoyan's film where you played the incredible Arshile Gorky. So I want to brief that and coming to the point where it's not just from the features of the movies that you've played, but it's also the theater. And in 2020, you earned 3 Molières, not 1, not 2, but 3 Molières for your play of the Greek mythology of Electre. So I congratulate you for the enormous, enormous success that you've had. You are here now in Yerevan for the past 10, 15 days, where you have taken on this project to conduct workshops for Armenian students who are learning to become actors. I personally witnessed you in these workshops where I saw the method that you used, your dedication and your passion. Tell me a little bit about this project and why you came this time and what you noticed out of all these times that you've been coming to Armenia, this time around after the 44-day war, what you noticed in the students and in the people.
First of all, this project was put together by Serge Avédikian from France. And we're like we have 7 interventions throughout the whole year. I'm the 3rd one. Serge started, then Pierre Pradinas, then Catherine and I. And then Ariane's guide will come and 2 others will come. It's like 5, 7 interventions. Anyways, some of them are professionals already. Some of them are not. And what I have noticed is it's the same throughout everywhere, but there is something here special because it's Armenia and the situation is the situation So we cannot lie about it. And I was, I think, gentle enough not to talk about the war because I know that people coming from outside, the first topic is what did you feel? What about the war, etc., etc. The only moment that we've talked about the war is one girl from Shushi that was very touching. She showed me her sleeping dog that she took before she left Shushi. And many feelings are fighting inside myself when I see that. When I talk right now about that, there is of course anger, there is of course sadness, but there is also a feeling of okay, we are going to continue to build, to rebuild. And my work, my thing is to try to give tools to actors in order to build something here. Here, and to tell the stories about here, about their because there's many issues, as you know, because you live here, you've seen women-man situation, man-man situation, whatever situation, political situation, historical, in the sense, mythological situation that we have, that we sometimes forget, that we reach sitting on the treasure, that sometimes we forget that. All of this, I mean, and the most important thing is make people work together to create the collective, not stop saying people, you work alone, you don't work alone. In theater, you don't work alone. If you work alone, you're done, you're dead. The only strength we have in theater, for me, this is my vision, is to create a utopia, which is collective work.
And is this what you actually helped with the students? I mean, give that kind of sense of consciousness for them to really rise up to that potential?
I tried. I'll have to come back, because it's a seed, it's a small seed then, but I'll have to come back and work with them and continue to, because you're not alone. I mean, when you're on stage you work with someone, and you make the someone become a king if he's playing or she's playing a role of a queen. No matter how good they are, if you don't believe that she's a queen or he's a king or he's a beggar or he's a thief or he's a fedai, whatever, they won't be. So, and this goes also for the political situation, whatever country it is. When you deny the reality, you cease. I mean, you don't help people exist. You help them. They cease to exist when you deny the reality. And on stage, as on life, is to accept the reality of the other in order for them either to heal. I mean, to go forward, either to understand the mechanism of their suffering, or their happiness. Eventually, for the moment, we're talking about suffering and the sleeping happiness, that we have to wake up.
Right. I actually like the word healing. I mean, I think that it's very poignant that you use that word, because living here, I don't get the sense that there is that sense of healing. I mean, there's a lot of rage, anger, frustration, anxiety, fear, but there's no really sense of collective healing. What do you think about that? What you saw here with the students, what was the sense you got about the healing process? And how does acting or any kind of performing arts help in that process?
I think the healing is very concrete. They need certain things. First of all, they need to be better, I mean, the better consideration towards them. The understanding that art in a society, in a country, is the lungs of the society.
The wings, even, you say, right?
I said the wings, and I keep saying that. And we are not walking people, we are also flying people. We walk, we fly. And the only way to make a people, a nation, spread its wings, it's to make the artist be absolutely part of the process of
nation building.
Yeah. And if you deny that, if you think that, well, that's not important because of course the war, of course the situation. But if you keep hiding behind the fact of the war and say, now we have other priorities, and keep saying the artists are not priorities, then somehow either you're an idiot, either you're a liar. Because we have seen towards the centuries that what is the reminder of such and such nation, let's talk about ours, most of all is our cultural inherit. I mean, what we have done throughout history.
Culturally speaking.
Culturally speaking,
right.
Of course, and people remember our composers, our poets, our architects, our doctors, because it's a way of being an artist, being a doctor. It's not only.
That's absolutely true.
You know, so to deny that is an absolute mistake. And to talk about the people I worked with, they need to be better paid. There has to be a real political approach towards art and culture in order to make people live with their own craft. Not go to because we had many kids, like I've seen them in a bar running to work until 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, 2 o'clock in the morning in a bar in order to make enough money to make a decent living. And on the other side, when you're an artist, you embrace the idea of precarity, you embrace the idea of, okay, you might be poor, but this is not that. This is not an adventure of a young woman or a young man going through life and saying, I'm going to struggle and no matter what to become whatever I want to become, artist, like actor, director, writer, painter, whatever. This is a population that is left aside. Okay, business, make business. Okay, technologies, make technologies. Of course, it's important, but don't put your eggs all your eggs in one basket, and try to develop everything. Because, let's say, we've met with Catherine when we did a workshop in Greece 3-4 years ago, and I talked to this archaeologist woman, and she said to me, during the antique time, the diplomats, the ambassadors, they were actors, because the actors, they had the knowledge, they had the eloquence, and they had the behavior, they had the culture, they were Zarkatsats people. So we're far from it. I mean, we're far from it. From when my leader is talking to me, let's say in France, when they talk to me, they don't talk to me because there is no habitation inside. There is no one inside. It's an empty building. Open windows, only wind is coming out. And you see that this thing has spread out throughout the world. And we need leaders, humans, of course Armenian, but we need leaders who talk to us and with the proposal, not an economical proposal, to a global, strong vision, which embraces everything, everyone, and from the past, present, and future, and all the people who constitute your country. We need a vision. We need someone who talks to me. And when you hear the voice, the frequency of the voice, you close your eyes, you already say, okay, we're done. There is no one there. There is inhabitation. There is not Megachka. And no one is talking to me. There is only a little warrior say, okay, I'm going to do better than my predecessors. And I'm going to show you for A plus B that my predecessors were wrong. We don't need you to know they're wrong. We know they were wrong. So is your project to saying the people who were before me were wrong? Is that a project? Is that a political project? I don't know. I don't think so.
Simon, I want to turn to your family history. I think we all have a very interesting family history, or the narratives that we've heard are very interesting, but yours is very unique to you. Your mother and father, Dikran and Sima. Sima's parents are from Musa Dagh. They were survivors of the genocide, and they fled Musa Dagh. I won't go too much into the details at this point. But then there's Dikran, your father, whose mother, Mari, was from Cesaria. She was probably 7 or 8 years old when the genocide took place. And she's survived only with a very small little brother, Hagop, and I think maybe her mother as well, if I recall correctly. And they were saved by the Dutch Protestant orphanages, and they were rescued during the genocide from Cesaria, where they fled with the orphanage to Lebanon. What I want to focus on is the story of Dikran's father. Simon. So your grandfather, your paternal grandfather. I want to focus on this because there are many stories like this, but this is very unique to you. So Simon, he's from Erzurum, specifically from a village called Ghara Hassan. In Ghara Hassan, there's probably 250 people. It's a big clan, a big family clan. And Simon's entire family, 250 and some other people, they're all killed during the genocide. He's the only surviving member left. 9 years old. He awakes under a corpse of the bodies of his family. And he is saved by a Kurd who takes him to the closest Dutch Protestant orphanage at that time. He gets to the orphanage. The orphanage directors ask him what his last name is. He's so traumatized that he can't even remember his name. I mean, I'm just feeling this, a child of 9 years old who cannot remember his name, his last name. So they ask him what your father's name is, and he says, my father's name was Abkar, which is how you adopted the lineage in the name of Abkarian. I'm feeling this story. You told me it was very overwhelming, and I'm asking you now this question. You hearing me telling the story of Simon, Dikran's father and mother's story. What emotions still rise to you? What meaning has the journey of your grandparents, all survivors of genocide, what meaning has that brought to you, in your opinion? given that Mari and Simon had Dikran, and Dikran had his personality from the inheritance of these emotions. What sense-making did you make growing up, and what sense-making do you make of this story, of this inherited story right now?
First of all, about the feeling that I have. It's most of all two feelings. It's sadness, it makes me very, very sad, and it's anger. And a righteous one, not a global one, a very precise anger, which I don't have to cherish it because it's here and it's not going away. I don't want it to go. I don't want it to go away. Neither of that, neither of that. That doesn't mean that I cannot go on living. Of course, we go on living, and these are also my my companions. I don't want to get rid of it. There are things that are conscious that you do, that I do as a third generation survivor, and there is also a part of unconscious that I do. Most in my writing, when I write, I consciously talk about like my family, but suddenly the writing goes in places that I don't want to control, or I want to be very precise about it. Because I think that a narration, how do you say, a novel, let's say, which comes also from imagination, is always stronger than the real life, than real events. Real events, suddenly they become facts, and facts become dates. Dates become dust and forgotten. Me, I don't want to forget. I don't want to forget. I want to, and has nothing to do with hate, because I know the response of that is, how can you live in hate, etc., etc. One day, one guy asked me, why do you hate the Turks? I said, first of all, read history from the other side of the book. Second of all, did you ever hate someone in your life? One person. So one person hate takes your sleep away. How you want me to hate 80 million people? I can't. I will disintegrate myself in a second. But I'm asking things from them. I want them to understand that I'm still here demanding what they've done to us, and not to repair it, because nothing can repair what they've done to us, but just to tell them that I, the survivor of third generation, remember that I was there way before they came here. And this is why they don't like us, because we are the witnesses of the house they are occupying.
You say that you don't want to forget, but you also don't want to heal. But I think that you do certain kinds of healing, because a lot of the emotions that you grew up with, because you heard the story many, many times. A child growing up with these stories, Sima, your mother told the story. Mari, your grandmother, told you the story. Your father, Dikran, would tell you the story. And there was always this thing of having the cause, to follow and to believe in. A child growing up with these stories, obviously needs some kind of a way to eject these emotions and to use them in a healthy way. You do that with your art, not just in your writing, even in your acting. You found perhaps the solution for you, but many people have not. How do you process that?
I don't know that if there is a solution. First of all, you have to accept that the man you are, the person you are trying to be, is constituted by that. I am the actor I am, the writer I am, because I have such story. And as long as you don't deny it, you embrace it, you become, I think, stronger. I think more interesting to people, because denying, hiding is to have. There is an Arabic saying that they say that the liar has a bad memory. I cannot lie. This is not. I have to be what I am, and voila. But the healing process is the telling process.
Right.
Is the telling process. Some people say we have to make a comedy. Some have to make tragedy. It doesn't matter the form. The matter is to say. To
articulate it.
Yeah, and to empty a space inside of you in order for other things to come up and fill that empty space. Because this is not one thing I'm going to say, and I'm going to say, okay, I said it and that's fine. No, there is many things slipping down there that are waiting their turn, like an elevator. You know, people coming outside, other people coming in, and they are waiting to be told, stories waiting to be told. I have many stories to tell yet, many.
That is a very clear term of what mindfulness is. You're very aware of what's within you. A lot of people are not very aware. You know, we kind of walk in a very, or live in a very autopilot way. Everything is automatic. I wake up, I take care of my kids, I go to school, blah, blah, blah. You seem to be very, very conscientious and very aware and mindful of what's within you, the emotions that have been, processed in you, the values that you've actually inherited and that you use till today, or that you feel that you live by today, inherited by, especially by Dikran, so your father. I mean, is this what you've also felt that you've given also to your son Jivan? Jivan is now a young adult. He has his own career. He has his own. And do you feel that you've also passed these values and these emotions also to your son?
Well, what I try to do with my son is not to bother him, first of all, in his existence. The little principles that I know that have built me, and the little tools that I have to be a better man, try to be a better person, I give it to him. And the most important thing is to let the person that is your son or your daughter or whatever, to have the choice and to be free of choosing, not to put a key behind the back of the kid and say, okay, you live your life. It's your life, it's not my life. Nonetheless, these are the facts. These are our family history, and you have to know. Don't tell me I didn't tell you. I told you. Now it's up to you to
do what you want with it.
To choose to continue seeing it or ignoring it. But don't tell me I didn't tell you. I told him, and I keep telling him. We keep talking. I mean, during the war we had long conversations, about what was happening. And it's deep and strong conversations because we have like some intellectual attitude towards our neighbors who are, for the moment, it's been a long time, they're our enemies. And I don't have hope.
Hope of what?
I don't have hope in order to say maybe one day we become friends. Maybe one
with the
day
neighbors, you mean?
This kind of talks is not interesting for me. I don't care. I mean, we have to find the right strength to be able to talk to them. When we sit at the poker table, we have to have a lot of cash in our pocket. For the moment, we don't. So coming to the kids, he's a bicultural kid. I mean, me myself, I speak 4 or 5 languages. I speak a little bit Greek also, and a little bit of that, a little bit of this. I manage. I mean, I don't put any if there is an obstacle I try to go over it and go towards the other. And it's my job, it's my work, it's my life, it's my pleasure to process all this and say, how am I going to turn it into a story in order to, because my story is not much more interesting or stronger than other people's stories, because there's so many. But to tell people you can also make a strength out of it. You make a strength. You don't only submit to what happened to you.
You don't fall in the victim mentality only.
No.
You also use it as a strength to persevere.
Of course. I have a great idea of myself. I don't. That's why when I talk about hope, I don't this concept very much. I don't like this concept very much sometimes, because hope puts you in a situation of weakness and non-combativity. You stop being in action of combat. Me, I want to fight. I want to struggle with all this. Some people, they make it on the battlefield. You have to create and find out what is your battlefield, what is your field where you can go on fighting for a greater cause than your little career. And the paradox of that is that if you don't, shine and be strong in your field, in your career, no one will listen to you. So it happens, the symptoms, me being a little bit known in France and in the Armenian world, it's a symptom of a stubbornness from me to say, I need to be the best in my craft. To be the most honest possible in my craft. And the symptom is that suddenly, 25 years later, people say, this is Simon Abkarian, he did this and that and that. So, okay, thank you very much. You will say, sign this photo. Okay, this is, but the thing is that now I put this thing, not the fame, but this knowledge that I have accumulated to the service of what I think holy is.
That is very beautiful. I think we're all born with a specific, intention to serve something. You've identified what that is, using your craft in the ways that you find great. And I can attest also that you've used your craft not for the fame or the fortune. It's been really to serve, and you've used that in the most humble ways. And I've witnessed it myself. But I think about you, and the first thing that comes to my mind is how similar you are to also your father. In the way you've raised Jivan, your father also never told you what you should or should not do in terms of career. He was very, very liberal and very open. But he did tell you one thing, is that to always remember that you should live with dignity. And that is something I think many Armenians, after having survived so many traumas, trying to pick up the pieces to live with dignity has been very, very difficult. So we fight, we work harder and persevere more to try to be that, to live that kind of authentic and dignified life. How do you think your father, he's given you that kind of legacy. He's told you, go and be what you want, but always remember the Armenian cause and live with dignity. That we knew what his cause was at the time because, in Lebanon and in France, where your family lived and were raised, that's what the education he gave you. What do you think your legacy will be? What legacy do you want to leave? What's been your mission, if you have one, and what's the legacy you want to leave?
Listen, years ago, I was wondering what conscious was, I said, what is the materialization of consciousness? And I said to myself, maybe it's the coming generation, to look up into their eyes, not without any slight of, shame, and saying, to look in their eyes and say, I did more than I could. I did what I had to do. More than I could doesn't mean that you don't live a life and you don't practice joy, because you don't have to put yourself into a situation of suffering and martyrdom and say, I serve my cause. Okay, you serve your cause and I serve my life, and they go together. If I don't serve my life, I cannot serve well my cause. And this is what I want. I want to live to Jivan, let's say, Jivan to be honest with himself. I try not to lie, because when you see what I've done, the films or the theater that I've done is equal to what I refused to do, which is invisible. The project that I turned down because I didn't think that they were worthy enough for me. So this is dignity also. This is also dignity. And to talk about my father, there is also my mother, who is a hero, who is the real hero of the situation.
Because, can you tell me why?
Because in my family, at least, I don't, and probably maybe in the Armenian world like this, all the vertical stuff like save the world, God, etc., save Armenia, etc., the man, and the job, horizontal job, the women. And my mother has verticality too. She has the sense of dignity also. And
because she raised
us
children.
In a way, because after the war we left from France, etc. This is, let's say, her Armenian thing, that she says, I have to serve my family, I will work, and she did. But beyond that, beyond the duty that she had to accomplish, there is someone that is also has the education of a fighter, to fight for life, to survive, and to try to put the situation of the family from the survival to the normal life, no survival, just vival. And dignity is, when she would say to us, sometimes we're no food, and she would say, when you go out, you're hungry, you have to walk straight, forehead up, and make people hear your heels knocking down the street. That's my mom. And this sentence, I take it as it is and I put it in my play. And people say, wow, you're a good writer. I say, thank you very much. But Mom,
she gets the credit.
She gets the credit. And the situation, I mean, of resistance gave her these words. And that's why I was talking a while ago about inhabitation, because some people are not in the situation of resisting. They are not in the situation
when
of...
you say combating or fighting, you mean resisting.
Yeah, and calling what is the most noble in you to say, okay, this is the situation, but together, and that's what we lack. We lack togetherness. We lack the utopia of being together. And voilà, there is no choice. We don't have a choice. I mean, when we talk about the situation of Armenia now and the diaspora, okay, we know that we are condemned to get married. No married, no kids. No marriage, no kids. And bye-bye Armenia, bye-bye diaspora, and bye-bye everything. So we have to work together. We have to realize that this is it. We have passed a point that we don't have the luxury to say, well, you don't understand, you don't live here, etc. Just give, and shut up. Don't get involved about our decision because... Okay, then we can say the opposite. You say, you don't know my situation because I was the one who was chased away in 1915 from Anatolia, well, etc., etc. So this is a stupid, very stupid argument, because when the Turks and the Azeris, they shoot people, they don't ask them if they're from Beirut or they are from Yerevan or Nakhichevan or Los Angeles or Moscow or whatever. They just kill us. They don't ask the
geographic location.
Well, they don't make the difference, and they will keep doing it. So we, as for that, we have to realize that voilà, we have we have to open each other's door.
And is that what you're doing by coming here as well? I mean, the projects that you're taking on by coming to Yerevan and and working here again, giving your voluntary time to do this. Is that like one way of doing, where the diaspora talented artist comes and shares his knowledge or her knowledge with the...
It's been a long time we want to do it. I mean, we've been talking with Atom about this, with Vahe Berberian about this, to come and to establish something. And there is always this defiance between the Soviet, but maybe they won't let us. Maybe this is going to be difficult. They will put obstacles. Say, okay. But if you want to do something, you do it. It takes years. I mean, it's been 25, I'm talking this talk about 20 years ago. But now, okay, we have to do it. Serge did it in his way. I will do it my way. We'll try to make this festival happen next year here in Armenia. It's been 36 years I'm working in this field. I know a lot of great, marvelous artists.
Talented artists.
Talented and well-known and artists in Spain, in England, in Germany, in France. Voilà. In Italy, in Greece, so we can bring all these people. I want to bring these people here, and so they see the country, and they go back as ambassadors saying, Armenia is a good people. Armenia, they're good people. It's a good country. And we don't have to do much. As it is, they will go happy. They will go back happy. We need the means. We need the political will, and we need the means, and because. When you talk about dignity, okay, we can do it our own way. We say, and this money we bring from there, this private money from there, this private money from there. But at point, the government has to realize that for its own dignity, to help this kind of project. Not for especially mine, because it's not mine. I want, this is the first thing. The second thing is that to exchange the knowledges and the people, the artists here to have like Schöpfung, with and meet other artists and exchange, and stop saying we need you here in Armenia. They need us. No, Armenians are great artists also. They just need the money to flourish. We don't come here to say I want to show you how to do theater. No, we're gonna exchange. We're gonna exchange, and we are going to find out what is the lack you have, and the lack they have is attention, political attention, and money, and a real. Concept of what is you need almost to write down like a constitution, like about art, to say the politics should do that, and to express how important it is to have this field born again in Armenia. This is
anything in the arts, anything in the arts. Whether
when
it's
I talk about art, I talk about imagination, because imagination is the ultimate battlefield. When you look up what the Turks are doing about in the cinema, on Netflix, what the Azeris are trying to do, there are many production going on in Azerbaijan, etc., etc. So the ultimate, if not the ultimate, one of the most important battlefield is imagination. So we have to work on that. We have to fill the gap and occupy the gap. And we have the means. I mean, from here, the people here, yet to be born, not only yet to be born, the geniuses in this country yet to come out need at least a little place to be, I mean, the hatching and the has
to develop,
to
yes. survive,
and that's the whole thing. And when you look up in France, let's say, they realize that, let's say, when the French go out, they have many cultural houses in many countries. They have in Syria, they had one. They have in Morocco. They have Centre Culturel Français, and they promote their own culture, but their own culture is greater than them also. And they know that. But we have to promote ourselves, and make people know who we are through not only our businesses, of course, not only about diplomacy, which is very tiny for the moment, the diplomacy. Maybe create a school about how to create, like we have in France, to create people who work for the state, to have a school. No matter what, the steady people working for the state. Not to say, you go, take your friends, I come, I bring my friends. And he takes the job, but he doesn't have the competence to do the job. No matter, he's my friend, he's going to do the job. Okay, super. And then what do we do about this? This is not important. It's not possible to work like that. We have to have steady people who take care of the domestic life of our the mechanism of our domestic life, which is politics. That's what I think. And because artists, the population of artists, of course, it's not, you cannot control, which is very good. You cannot control an artist. You cannot say this is a state artist, you're going to work this way. But you have to let the choice and take the chance that the artist at one point is going also to make a play about your work and to denounce the work you do. You have to take that chance. But it's an army in itself, artists. It is a secret army in itself, working. Me, okay, I want to come here. I want to build something and I believe that it will spread.
I agree with that. I think that you plant the seed, and the seed will itself, flourish in its own way. I mean, it could be a branch this way or a branch that way, but I mean, you've planted the seed, and that's what you're going to be doing. But also with the projects that you have in mind, not just for this year, but also for the festival, I think it's an important way to open the gateways of the deepness of the culture, the Armenian culture, and how that's a big part of the thread and the fabric of this nation. Is not just the military and the security and the diplomacy and the geopolitical conditions, but also the culture.
The culture and the culture of, to bring back the culture of enthusiasm. When you see around you, the enthusiasm has gone really weak. People are, say the fatalism. No. It's not done. The story is not done. I mean, and even so, you're fighting, you're losing, lose while you're standing, singing and dancing in front of the enemy. So we have to, the culture of fatalism. We have to fight and bring back the culture of enthusiasm, and to say, okay, I'm happy. I'm an actor. Well, you don't know the situation. I know the situation, but nonetheless, we can overcome this situation. We can win this situation. We make it better. If you say, oh, okay, it's not possible, we will never make peace, Palestine, Israel will never make peace, okay, there will never be peace. If peace, on what terms? But peace nonetheless. We have the same situation in here, daily life, in France, daily life. And we have the strength of the diaspora, and we have the strength of Armenia, and we have to, there is no better way to say it for me. We have to get married. We have to work together, and We have to listen to each other. That's my thing. Share knowledge.
Share knowledge. Simon Abkarian, I could sit here for hours talking to you. We can go on different tangents, and it's always something very interesting that you highlight. Unfortunately, I'm going to bring the conversation to a close, and I want to tell you how grateful I am that you carved out some time to sit with me.
With pleasure, with pleasure.
Really, Simon, I cannot wait to see what the future unfolds for us, having you here, helping not just share your knowledge, your wisdom, and I wish you all the best, because I know that there's still so many different doors that are opening for you this year and next. I wish you all the best, and I look forward to seeing you again.
Same to you.
Thank you, Simon.
Thank you.